Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's gonna be a little bit different. It's not doll related, but it is sewing related, so I thought I'd share it with you. I'm attending Conan Gray's Wishbone tour in March, and I decided I think I want to make my outfit for it. I saw him back in 2024 on his Found Heaven tour, and I made a part of my outfit for that. Insert pictures here somewhere, I don't know. But I really liked that one, and I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm still very proud of it. So I thought I would continue what I guess is a new tradition for every time I go see him in concert. So this time I was really inspired by the looks he actually wears on the tour, just as I was last time. And so I have taken inspiration from that, as well as my own personal style, because it's totally right up my alley. And I've put together something that I think I'm really excited to make. Now, I don't know if I can share pictures here just because I don't own those pictures and I don't want to get flagged for anything, but if you have seen his concert outfits, then the one I'm about to show you that I'm going to be making for myself probably does look very familiar. If you have not seen them, I would highly recommend looking them up. They are gorgeous outfits, and I don't know who makes them, I don't know who designed them, but they're gorgeous. So I've taken inspiration from one specifically that he wears, I think towards the end of the show, where it's this more fitted vest over top of this just massive sleeved blouse. And he has a couple different iterations, but I'm taking inspiration from the white and blue one. So here's the look I've sketched up. You can see here the big puff sleeves and the fitted vest that I was talking about. I know it seems a little messy if you haven't seen the outfits he wears, but if you have seen it, then I think this will make a little bit more sense to you. I want to recreate these gathered bell sleeves with 2 flounces on the actual sleeve itself and then one at the cuff. And then in between these layers is going to be lace in the same blue color as the chiffon. And then for the vest, I'm a little bit uncertain about the design I want to do. I know this is the shape I want, but in terms of decoration, I'm kind of playing that by ear. I do have this really pretty dark blue lace that I think I want to do around the neckline, but I'm kind of waiting to see when I get there. For pants, I have 2 options that I'm debating on. I'll just pick once these 2 pieces are done. Okay, so I've picked out the materials I think I want to use for this project, and for the vest, I'm thinking about using this like cream colored, I don't know if it's a brocade, I don't know what you would call it, but it has this like embossed print on it that is shiny compared to the matte back. I think it's really pretty, and it'll give that sort of like almost royal regal-esque vibe that I think I want to go for. And then I'm going to just use this cotton right here for the lining, but I think I want to try and make it reversible so that I can do either the white or the dark blue. We'll see, I don't know. But then for the vest, I want to try and use this dark blue lace around like the collar area just because it's really pretty, and maybe add some different white laces as well, but we'll figure that out when we get there. And then for the main blouse that'll go underneath with the big sleeves, I'm going to use this sort of light blue chiffon just because I have a lot of it. We will be using this. Okay, pause. Yes, I know there's a few things missing from this pile that I later add or swapped, but I filmed this first before all of that, so oops. Okay, so for the patterns for the vest, I've already made and cut them out. I did cut them out of just extra wrapping paper that we have, so they want to curl up, so this is here to weigh it down. But I basically just modified another pattern that I've already used for past projects. I didn't record that because I just needed to figure it out without a camera on me, so I'm sorry about that. But a lot of it was also just draping. I cut out my best guesstimate and then put it on me and fitted it from there. Like this back seam, I did that all while it was on my body. I just sewed a straight line and then figured out the curvature from there so that I could, you know, get it more suited to me. And so now we just kind of hope it works out. Mock-up was pretty good, and then with the alterations I made, it should work just fine. So this is what I'll be cutting out of the white fabric. I also made like a little placket. I can't remember if that's what it's called, honestly, and I don't care enough to look it up. So that'll go right here on the edge of that front seam where it'll open. That way you don't see any gaping between the front center. And then I also made a pattern for the blouse underneath. I just based mine off of an existing top I already had that I liked the fit of. And so then we have the front panel, we have the back panel, which will be on the fold, and then we'll have the sleeve, which will also be on the fold, so it'll be double, so it'll be pretty big. But that's exactly what I'm going for. So again, this one I just made using an existing top I already had, and I'm just kind of hoping it works. So I'm going to start with the blouse first, just to get that done and out of the way, since I think it's going to take the most time. So I'm going to cut it out of that fabric right there. So for the blouse, this is sort of my little plan or guide that I drew up for myself just based on what I think it's gonna look like. So I've kind of just guessed what my patterns are gonna look like here, and then I also kind of drew up what I want it to look like in the end, as well as down here I have placement for the different ruffles that I'm gonna do. Initially, I was going to just do like straight ruffles gathered, sewn on, kind of typical, but I was looking more at the pictures, and I noticed that for all of these like ruffles, they're actually flounces, which is kind of what these are gonna be for here. So I've actually sketched up what I want each individual flounce to look like, and what I think will be best for that section. So for this top one right here, which will be this one, I don't want it to go all the way to the edge, actually. I want it to kind of go up and stop a little before the shoulder. I want it to like taper off. So I want it to, you know, be wide, 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 and then taper off to a point. So I'm going to be doing a spiral like this one right here. But then for this one right below it, because it'll be going from edge to edge, I'm just going to do a regular circle. And then for this one at the cuff, I'm going to just do a basic curved piece of fabric. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's considered a flounce because it is still curved and not on a straight grain, but I don't really need all that much right here since this will be gathered quite a bit with elastic at the end. And then I'll probably do something similar with the collar to this one, and then do that times 2, and then I'll just have a seam in the back so that I can sort of taper it off towards the end right here. And then I might do 2 layers plus the lace. I don't know, we're still kind of figuring this out as we go, just based off of what looks good and what I want for myself. So when it comes to cutting out the flounces, I tried to make it as easy as I could for myself because cutting out circles from chiffon is annoying. So I took some wrapping paper that we have and rolled it out, and then I just actually drew on my different flounces. Here's a highlighted version that might be a little bit easier to follow. The edge of the paper is the fold, which affects the ones highlighted in red and green, while the blue one is just fine on its own. The blue one will be for the top layer, the red one will be for the second layer, and the green one will be for the cuff. So I've actually already cut out my 2 mid-tier ones, which this is how those look when done. I've already hemmed them. For hemming them, I basically just put it into the machine, folded over the edge backwards, and then did a zigzag stitch along the hem, pulling it as I went so that it would create this sort of like ruffled, not ruffled, but what is it, like a lettuce hem? But that completes the 2 mid-tier ruffles, so now I need to do this one and this one. Alright, so I've cut out my other flounces, and now I'm just going to go around the hems of them all and do the same thing on all 4 of these that I did with the other 2. This technique of hemming can definitely take a while, but once you get into the groove of it, you can go pretty fast. It's also just a little bit more forgiving than a regular top-stitched hem. Also, yes, there is a bunch of naked dolls behind my machine because I am first and foremost a doll customizer. They're my models for my own projects as well as commissions. There's actually quite a few dolls laying around. I really need to clean up. Okay, so I've finished all of the flounces for the top. How many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Since I finished the flounces, I thought I might as well continue with the sleeves anyway because they're the most like labor-intensive part of the blouse. So with that, I have bought and dyed some lace that I will also be incorporating as, I think I'm just gonna do these as regular ruffles. I'm not gonna lie, I just dyed this and it came out darker than I expected. So, but it's okay. I think it'll still look pretty. Yeah. But I think I am just going to do just straight ruffles that'll gather instead of flounces, but I might play around with that. We'll see. I don't know. I hope these colors look good together. I think they do. It's fine. It'll be fine. Okay, so I cut out all my different ruffles. Now I just need to gather them all. So all of my ruffles are gathered now, and they're all sectioned off into where they're going to go. And I think I'm going to start by adding all of this onto the sleeves, and then I'll jump over to the body of the shirt. So, let's go. One thing I would like to mention before I start is there was something that I overlooked while planning that I realized while I was cutting out the ruffles, and that is I didn't really take into account about how this ruffle is going to end over here, because obviously it's going to end just up here on the sleeve, but I didn't really think about what it's going to do over here because I'm not going to include it into the seam allowance of the sleeve itself because I want it to like hang free, but I didn't think about how it's going to just be a straight edge hanging off right there since it doesn't connect over here to the other side of the ruffle like this one does. So I made and attached these little extra bits just to kind of round off this edge, which it'll attach kind of funny. I'll show you later how I'm going to do it. because this is technically where the seam line for the sleeve is, so this will have to overlap that, which again, I'll show you because it might get a little tricky, but it should be fine. Anyways, now that that's all figured out, I can finally start attaching the lace and flounces, starting with the ones at the cuff. Because this blouse is made of chiffon, I'll be using French seams so that no raw edges are exposed. So I start by sewing them wrong side to wrong side, then flip it and sew again, good side to good side. And with these ones at the cuff, I top stitch the edge of the seam allowance down to make a channel for elastic to go through later. Once those are done, I move up to the mid-tier or lower flounce. I pin it upside down where I want it and then stitch about an 1/8 inch away from the edge. That way when it's flipped and hanging the correct way, there's no visible stitching. And then I do the same thing for the top flounce. Once the 2 flounces on the body of the sleeve are attached, I sew on the lace underneath with a basic top stitch right where I want it. Since these are gathered ruffles, I didn't sew them on like the flounces so they wouldn't create unnecessary bulk, and because you really won't be able to see this area much. And then I do the same thing for the top tier as I did for the bottom tier. And of course I did this on both sleeves, though I only recorded one. After attaching all the ruffles and flounces, this is what they look like, and they're huge. They're still a little messy. I need to remove all of the gathering stitches, but I'm waiting till I get them sewn up before I do that. But I think they look so pretty. Here's that channel at the bottom where I'm going to thread the elastic. And then I know the lace having a blunt cut edge looks a little funny, so towards the end of the project, I'm gonna go in and sort of go around the floral pattern just to give it a little, I don't know, just not make it look so blunt. But this is as far as I can go on the sleeves right now, so next I'm going to sew up the shoulder seams right here, and then I'll attach the lace and the flounce for the neckline. So then I just sewed those shoulder seams up, and again using French seams for these. Before attaching the lace and the flounce, I decided to hem the neckline once. Then I'll attach the flounce and lace and hem it again, enclosing those raw edges. I literally only had this much thread on my spool from that. Guys, I won thread chicken this time. Okay, so I attached the ruffle and the flounce, and this is what it's looking like. Low-key, I feel like it's not enough. Like, I feel like it looks just a little too plain, especially when I, like, put it on just to see what it looks like on my body right now. It just doesn't feel like a lot, so I might go back in and add another flounce or 2, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on that. I'm gonna wait till I'm done with the rest of it and then see how I feel. But now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna sew up these side seams right here, again with French seams. Alright, now that that's done, I'm going to sew up the side seams of the sleeves. Okay, so I forgot. Actually, before I sew up the side seams, I need to thread elastic through this channel because of the way I attach this. Once I sew up that seam, I can't access this channel, so I'm going to thread some of this elastic through there real quick. Alright, now I can sew up the side seams, making sure to avoid the ruffles while sewing. And what kind of seam did I use for this? Say it with me, a French seam. How many times have I said this in this video yet? I have no clue. But once that seam is sewn, I still need to finish the edge of the lace and the flounces. So I finish sewing them together, making sure to match the length of the unsewn edge of the flounce or lace on the sleeve to the now finished sleeve body, if that makes any sense. Hopefully the visual is more helpful than what I'm saying. If it doesn't make any sense, I don't know. It makes sense in my head. Now that the edges are connected, I'll sew from the stopping point of the thread on one side to the other. so that the entirety of the flounce and lace ruffle is connected to the sleeve body. And this is what that should look like. A nice clean finish with everything attached. Then for the top flounce and lace, since there's no other edge of itself to connect to, I'll flip it over the seam of the sleeve and stitch where I want it to lay. And here's what that looks like. And that completes the sleeve for now. So of course I had to do a little try on, and oh my gosh, you guys, look at how fun it is. Look at how full the lace and the flounces are, and how swishy and flowy it is. It's just so fun to wear. Now I'll connect the sleeves to the main body of the top. But first I'll sew 2 gathering stitches at the top of the sleeve to fit it into the arm's eye, since I created this pattern to have a little gathering up there. And then I pin it into the arm's eye using lots of pins, which are my best friend for this step. And if you're doing this, make sure you're sewing it on the right way, because I sewed it on the wrong way the first time and I had to redo it, which is not fun. But when it comes to the sleeves, I take my time since I really don't want to mess up again, and I want these seams to be sturdy since they're going to have a lot of movement. And then I do a rolled hem to finish the bottom of the top, which completes the main construction of this blouse. So I decided to trim up the edges of the lace right now, and so here's the first sleeve I've done, and I'm going to go in and do the second one. But look at how much better it looks with that edge all trimmed. I went in and I sort of just trimmed around the pattern, kind of just based on what I felt was right and for the length of each spot, even down here at the cuff, even just compared to that blunt edge to the trimmed up one. I just think it looks so much better, a little bit more whimsical, honestly. So now I'm going to go in and do this one and the collar as well. You guys, this took a while, and granted I did it all in one day, which I'm proud of because it was about 6 yards to trim. But it was a slow process that I won't bore you too much with because this is the real speed of it all, and so let's just skip through it. Moving on to the vest, I originally was going to use this for the sort of backing slash like double side of it. That's not going to be seen for this project, but you know, again, I might make it reversible, so this would have been the other side. But I found this dark blue suede fabric in my stash that I forgot I had, and I think I'm going to switch to this because it's just prettier, and I think I could get another wear out of this rather than this. So now I'm going to cut my patterns out of this. Once everything was cut out, I stitched it together starting with the back and shoulder seams. And I'm not using French seams on this garment. And then I cut out the same pattern pieces in my white fabric and repeat the same steps. Then I lay the white side out flat and pin on my dark blue lace around the neckline. First I tack that on right where I want to sew it. Then I pin my pieces good side to good side and stitch around the neckline right where I tacked the lace. And here's the neckline done. I top stitched on either side, avoiding the lace in between so that each side lays flat, allowing the lace to sort of be free and do whatever it wants and go to either side. Now I'm going to stitch closed both of the armholes and then flip it right side out. Alright, both armholes are now hemmed, and now I'm going to flip open the side seams and stitch them good side to good side. Both side seams are now sewn up. So now it's going to get a little tricky, but I'm basically going to like flip this inside out like that and hem the bottom as well as those front pieces. Here we are the next day with better lighting, but the vest is basically done. I finished hemming the bottom all the way around, and I hemmed those front pieces And then I added some temporary snaps to the inside and the outside so that it'll actually close on me. But yeah, I think I might go in and add some buttons right here. Just decorative, but we'll see. But I'm gonna do a whole try on and then I'll decide. Lastly, I wanted to mention that after reviewing all of my pant options, I've decided to go with these dark blue ones I have. I just think they look the best. And last but not least, I will be wearing this sort of waist wrap band thing that actually inspired this whole project and for me to make my outfit. This is one that I've actually made for myself a couple years ago for a different sort of costume outfit that I made. It has these little embroideries on little corners of the sash. It was made for a sort of Prince Eric look for a D23 event that I went to, but I thought that I could repurpose it and use it for this outfit as well, as Conan wears a similar wrap band thing to this, so I'm going to be pairing this with everything. And that basically completes the look. So let's get some final shots of it all put together. And here's how it turned out. Guys, I'm so happy with the results. I kind of impressed myself. The sleeves are so flowy and fun to wear, and the vest really snatches me up. Also, you can see here I ended up adding a second flounce to the neckline, which makes it look much better, I think. And I decided to add some gold buttons on the vest to match the embroidery on the sash. I really love the shape of the vest. I think it fits quite well and ended up pretty smooth looking, thanks to the more structured suede fabric. I'm so excited for this concert, y'all. I just know I'm gonna have so much fun wearing this and singing my heart out at the same time. And yeah, I'm gonna feel like the best dressed because my ego is high and because I made it myself, which automatically means I win. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching the process of me making my outfit and maybe learned a thing or two. I don't know, sometimes things just make sense in my head and not out loud, but I hope no matter what, it was still enjoyable, at least. This video should be out on the day that I'm seeing Conan on March 20th, so I don't currently have any footage of me attending the concert or anything, but I wanted to get this video out as soon as I could. Would you guys like to see more videos of me with my regular sewing that's non-doll related? I know that this is kind of a doll first channel, but if this is something that you are interested in, I'm sure I will have more projects in the future that I would love to share. But as always, I'll see you guys next time.